But we have just a few Kickstarters for you this week. What do you got for us? First up, this one sounds cool.
Yeah, this one is Steam Court. This one actually is a second release of it because they actually they say in their video pretty much they didn't know as much, so they went to a manufacturer who was much more expensive, and it didn't pass that way. So now they got down to a much fairer price. And what this game is it's a trick game, so pretty much you're taking rounds and whoever takes the most wins. And if you haven't guessed it, it has a steampunk theme.
I haven't guessed it.
But in essence, you all have a different role, which allows you to play or get more cards. I think the one and usually they give good ability. The exception I'm thinking there was one called the T-Boy who has to shuffle and give away his best cards.
Okay.
So I think because he's like the butler or something.
Oh, okay. T-Boy.
But it seems like the whole idea is you're trying to build machines by emptying out your hand and equipment to please the queen.
I like that.
It looked like just a very fun game if you like the sort of the love letter, rounds kind of game, but also steampunk theme.
I feel like steampunk is still is kind of an untapped board game market. There isn't really in general. Steampunk is not a genre that gets done a lot. It is and it isn't.
No, it is. It is when it's not something very official. Like I see. Like
cosplay and stuff.
No, not even cosplay. Like on Kickstarter, usually those ones that's like it's just a deck of cards, Steam, or like
right.
like it's not the stuff you really are gonna see ever again on a shelf. But in terms of actual like AEG, Asmodee from them, yeah. The only thing I can think of is actually Smash Up.
And there's that one.
Maybe a few more.
There's one that's is not out yet. That was going to be the next Dice Tower Essential or whatever. It was like Steam something. Yeah. Yeah, it's something.
You mean compared to Zombie and Cthulhu?
Right, exactly. And maybe compared to my next game.
Cthulhu does tend to have steampunk elements a lot, I notice.
Nerds and their crossing of elements. This goes for $29. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think it sounds, like I said, I'm game. And the idea of a steampunk court is also different. So next up, we've got The Wastelanders 2048. And I think this is a post-apocalyptic game, which I think is kind of now the new Zombies and Cthulhu. I've seen a lot of these on Kickstarter.
No, I definitely agree. Partly because zombies and post-apocalyptic sort of tend to be together.
A little bit. Well, this is definitely more
and Cthulhu. They all tend to.
This is more of the Mad Max type of thing once again, and basically it's post-apocalypse. It's a tile-based map, and you're exploring, and you start with one Wastelander. And as the game progresses, you get more, and you're exploring, you're expanding, you're exploiting, and you're exterminating. It's a competitive game, and when you see someone else, you're going to be getting weapons, and you can try and kill them and that kind of thing. I think it looks kind of cool, but part of the reason I did bring it up was just because I think it's interesting that this really is seems like this is the new thing now.
Well, I mean, it's been very interesting because I think part of the reason is Fallout played a big part in this. And I started with 3, so I apologize I cannot quote on 1 or 2 or any of the other spin-offs. But with 4 hit such a huge popularity, and then there was the Mad Max movie.
Right.
I think for a lot of people, what a lot of people see right now, and it's very interesting, sort of very pessimistic view, is we're already doomed in terms of like the environment and politics. So the idea of a world where you get to skip past all the bad stuff that got you there, and now you're making your own name. It's really sort of like it's like getting in the Wild West again.
I was going to say that is really post-apocalypse is just Wild West with mutants. Like there's not much of a big.
So difference. I think that's one of the reasons it really attracts people. It's sort of
we're in a place right now where people are.
they want in their minds. It's like getting that
it's the
clean
inevitable
slate. Yeah, it's an inevitable way to get that clean
just
slate.
End it all.
But this looked unique enough. It wasn't just you're not saying it was like, oh, that's another.
Yeah, no, it hasn't reached that point yet.
Yeah.
I think this had some coolest elements to it. And for only $32, you can experience the end of the world yourself. Now, this next one, it's got a terrifying image for it.
Yeah, this is actually
something.
Yeah, it's Cult. This is actually a reprint of I think 1991 or 3. I'm mixing.
You got to know because that's a big difference.
Yeah. In essence, the idea is humanity lives in like an illusion world. That like they can't see the hell and like pretty much we're in a prison, so to speak, of like all the bad stuff.
A role-playing game.
Yes, it's more like a horror-based role-playing game.
Okay.
The idea being you're actually part of the people who can sort of, it's like you're in the Matrix, like but not machines, more like devils, zombies, monsters like that.
Okay.
And the idea is you're sort of the people who can you start seeing the reality. The madman in the subway actually starting to make sense. Your neighbor doesn't appear as human as you think. It's sort of this. You realize and trying to find history when humanity was, much more powerful. Find out what happened trying to escape this hellhole.
The real world doesn't have monsters in it, but our Matrix world does, or the other way around?
No, it's the other way around. Like
Other way around.
Everything seems fine, but
we think it's normal, but there are monsters.
You open your apartment,
Okay.
you look at your neighbor, and then the face just or something.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. I like that.
I thought it looked like a really interesting take. Horror. I'm always interested when something comes to horror because I really don't feel like we see it enough of it, and just in general, done well.
Especially in RPGs, it's a very interesting genre to tap into. It's like that's the survival aspect. You can really get into it having only like 3 bullets.
I think it plays a lot more, or at least I think in a more sense, playing on people's own fears and own reactions. Because in sometimes you just got to make sure you do it right. And I think this seems to do it a lot better. Like I know we did the Fantasy Flight End of the World. I don't know whether it's just me, but it sort of turned out to you guys just doing your own. Like it wasn't really a scary for you. Like
right.
It wasn't you guys surviving. It was more like you guys are. It still felt like more like you're taking names. So that way someone's like, I'm just gonna defect to make it interesting, which pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, it wasn't focusing really on the horror aspect of it.
Or at least maybe it was a scenario.
Kind of, but yeah, I mean.
But I know I really wanted to play. You're excited about was it 12 candles?
10 candles.
10 candles.
Which is our Kickstarter RPG that I backed. That's you die no matter what at the end.
So I think this is maybe a good balance of maybe keeping that horror idea,
right.
And I like that idea. The illusion definitely make. And I like it because it wasn't saying like you automatically you're not Neo right off the bat. It wasn't like you've broken out. It was you're starting to see it. So you can really do a lot of like play around with people getting like, did they see a blur or was it nothing?
It's like Eternal Darkness with the sanity effect.
I know. So I think that could be a lot more interesting for.
So that you can get the digital version of that for $25, or like a nice retail physical copy, for $60, I believe. Then last, we're going to take a complete 180 from that and talk about the Butterfly Garden.
In case you got too scared from that picture.
Don't get scared. The Butterfly Garden is a very simple game. It comes from the designer of Biblios, which seems fairly popular based on our experience. We haven't played it. But basically, you have butterflies in your hand, there's butterflies on the table, and each round, different cards will tell you which colors of butterflies that you need, and you take turns trying to go first and trying to get the butterflies you want to collect for your jar and get the most points. Super simple. I just thought it looked kind of neat, fun concept, and it's only $15, which is
as you can see, it's right there.
Yes, it's right there, only $15. So if you like Biblios or you just want a simple, fun butterfly game, I don't know, I might check it for $15. I might check it out. I feel like all the Kickstarters we talk about now are $90 miniatures giants. So
I mean, I don't blame them.
Yeah, that's it's successful. So hey, they should do it. God bless them.